Hey everyone, it's Big Daddy. So here we are, another Big Daddy and Friends. And as I always promise all the viewers and listeners, I'm going to bring people on that obviously do know what they're doing. They talk about things that they know and understand, and they explain things in a correct and fun fashion. But we tell the stories behind the story. So I'm honored and very happy to have my friend, Bills general manager Brandon Beane on. What's up, Brandon?
Big Daddy, appreciate you having me on, man. You look good, all decked out in your Bills gear.
Yeah, man, Bills Mafia, baby. I'm ready.
I love it. I love it. They're going to put you on an infomercial selling some of our gear.
Hey, whatever works, man. As long as we get to LA, right?
No doubt, no doubt.
So I'm excited. I'm coming up for the game this weekend too. So
Oh, great.
yep, coming up, and I'm actually bringing some pizza with me. So you got to make sure that when I drop it off to my brother, he gets you some.
Yeah, no doubt. You getting stuck in traffic last time cost me.
Yeah, it
I'll look
costs
forward
everybody. It costs everybody. Trust me.
to it.
So, but anyway, listen. I know the history. I know the history of where you started, where you began, and all that because we've known each other a long time. So I just want you to share with our viewers and listeners um, what made you get into football. How did it start, and where do you think you're going? Because I mean, obviously, I know where you're going, but everyone else may not. So let's chat a little bit about that.
Yeah, I grew up in a rural area in North Carolina and played, typical high school, played football, basketball, baseball, just whatever season it was I played, but was probably most in love with football. That was the season I probably enjoyed the most. And the part that even when it wasn't football, I was always thinking about football. And so, um, I knew with my size, athletic ability, as much as you dream, we all dream about playing,
Absolutely.
pro sports, NBA, NFL, whatever. And but I knew, listen, this is not going to last that long. So, I was originally going to college. I thought I would coach, like your brother, and I was going to be a high school coach and hopefully maybe prove myself there to be a small college coach. That was really when I left high school. That's kind of what I thought my career was going to be. And middle of my time at UNC Wilmington, I kind of just started dreaming bigger and said, man, I really want to work in the NFL. And if I can't work there, maybe I'll try the NBA. I felt like I could always go back and coach high school. And so did some internships, a couple volunteers, started with the Charlotte Touchdown Club, and then that landed me one with the Carolina Panthers in 1998. Dom Capers, the original coach of the Carolina Panthers, was still there. That ended up being his last season, and then spent 3 years with George Seifert, which was interesting. And then George had come from San Francisco, and then John Fox, was hired, and Marty Herney, who's still running the show in Washington with Ron Rivera, one of our friends. And so just that's kind of how it started, and worked my way up. And 17, 18 years later, I found myself in Western New York.
Well, it's been a great ride. It's obviously like I explained earlier. I know the history, and you've worked with so many mutual friends of mine that it's like, I tell people all the time, the NFL obviously is a big deal, but it's a small fraternity because so many people, whether you're an equipment manager or an owner, everything is all in one. And it's funny how I'll tell people all the time that the guys that really are underappreciated sometimes, but really work the hardest are equipment guys.
No doubt.
And I know that area so well growing up in that.
Yeah.
With the Hamptons, Bill Hampton Senior, Junior, and that whole crew.
Yep.
And all those guys. I mean, I remember getting paid, but carrying helmets in, shoulder pads, and picking up socks and jocks like it was no big deal because that's what the job entailed. And it's you have an understanding of everyone has a role, and if everyone does their role in a correct and good manner, everyone succeeds.
No doubt. Well, Jackie Miles I know you know Jackie, who's with the Giants now. Jackie helped raise me, and when I was interning, when I wasn't doing football ops, I was down folding towels with Jackie, and he was the reason that I actually started traveling as an intern. Jackie said, "Hey, I could use another set of hands on the road," and so middle of my intern year, he took me out to San Francisco and then to the Jets and a couple other places, and so I'm very appreciative of those guys, because without those guys, there's no game on Sunday.
Yeah. And it's, it's funny. My brother Jimmy told me a story about when he first got his internship down there with you guys in Carolina. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I met Brandon Beane, blah, 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 blah. And he took care of me with this, and this before I knew it. And then all of a sudden, I guess he went to a game one time, and he was like, yeah, he goes, I called Ron last minute, and then Ron had Brandon, boom, I was standing next to Ron during the game. It was like everything was done so quickly and so efficiently that, why would I not agree, or why would I think differently that it wouldn't be that way?
Yeah, no, it's about treating people right, and it's been fun over the years to have so many different guys like your brother who come in and they're coaching in college, but they use their extra time, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks before their season starts, come down and learn from either offensive or defensive staff. And Jimmy did such a great job, and Ron was going to. I think this. Ron was going to try and hire him in Carolina, and at the same time that Sean was coming up here, and he goes from no NFL interest to 2 teams looking for him, but it all went back to an internship, and that's why I tell people all the time, anytime you can spend 2 weeks with an organization or a month, take that opportunity to get to know them and for them to get to know you.
I'll never forget that call I got that morning. My brother calls me, he's driving, and he said, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "What's the matter, man?" He's like, "Well, after I just told, Sean that I'm coming, Ron calls me and says, 'Hey, I got a spot for you.'" I'm like, "Oh, my God." Like, well, listen, if you told the one guy that you're coming, then you got to stick to your guns.
Yeah, no doubt. No, it was funny. I remember that call because Ron and I were in the car together at the Senior Bowl, and we started talking about Jimmy, and he got him on the car phone, and Jimmy, you could tell Jimmy was like excited, but then had a little hesitancy in his voice, like he didn't want to let Ron down. Man, I may have something else already brewing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my brother and Ron have such a strong relationship. It's and I've become close with Ron as well throughout the years of, just always seeing each other, whether it's at a game or the Senior Bowl, the Combine, whatever, you run into everybody all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. And I will tell you, it's, when you talk about the NFL being a whole family, it's like the equipment manager there at the Washington football team now, to be quoted correctly, is Drew Hampton, one of the Hamptons, and he was at Maryland. So he calls me up and he's like, "Dude, the Washington job opened up." I'm like, "Well, if you leave Maryland, where am I going to get my Maryland gear from?" Come on, man.
Make sure you leave a guy back there to still take care of me, right?
Yeah. So right away, I called Jimmy, and then, I got Ron on the phone, and and now Drew's there. It's because we grew up with Drew.
Yeah.
I've known Drew since I'm like 12 years old. So
small world, man.
Yeah,
small world.
So, but anyway, so I know the one thing that, some of the people, I get a list of questions that people ask me to ask you, and I don't ask them all, but there's like 2 or 3. And, it's impressive how you really, you turn the team around in regards to, moving on from different players. And then, you drafted my man, Mr. Edmonds. I played with his dad, Farrell, at Maryland. So,
did you really? Holy cow.
Yeah. His father was a stud tight end.
He's a big man. He still looks like he could play.
I'll tell you what, I used to laugh because he was so much bigger than they would try to put a linebacker on him at tight end. You couldn't do it because he outran him. He was like he was a 4 or 5 guy at tight end.
Yeah.
And he could jump through the roof. I mean, they were trying to get him to play basketball when we were at Maryland because that's what kind of athlete he was.
Yeah,
You know?
you can tell. That's a good strong family.
Yeah,
Too.
the genes run very strong with their three kids, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm like, not one, not two, but three in the NFL at the same
yeah,
time.
that's impressive.
You better bottle that up and sell it.
No doubt, no doubt. Super impressive.
So, but yeah, that's the one thing that it's funny you watch, and now that I guess I have a vested interest in it. I watch how you've built the team and the picks that you've made, the signings. I mean, Stephon Diggs, that was incredible, and I got to meet him finally this year. And
Did you?
yeah, I haven't, even though we're Maryland guys, he came
Yeah.
up to me from behind me and he's like tackled me. And I guess my brother told him, he goes, yeah, my brother played in Maryland as well. So he came over and said hello. And that was before you guys laid the wood there to the Jets a couple weeks ago. And so I got a chance to say hello to him. Nice guy. And I'll tell you, it's the rest of the season is going to be exciting because, I mean, you guys are right there. And man, I can't wait till this Monday. You can feel the excitement's in the air. The media is doing their thing to hype it up and all that.
Yeah.
But, you can tell people already talking about it, and it's going to be interesting to see, going forward the rest of the way.
Yeah, it will. The NFL there's so many teams that, you look at, with it's still it's a 17 game season. We got 6 left. And so a third of the season basically. And, it looks right now like it's going to come down to week 17, week 18. You may have 4 or 5 spots of the 7, in the AFC still available that weekend, just the way it looks now with so many teams you got Baltimore that's got 3 losses, and then you got a slew of teams that have 4 losses. And so it's the real football season starts, as long as you give yourself, a chance, the real season starts after Thanksgiving. So here we are. It's go time.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, the AFC is as exciting as ever. And the AFC East, hey, listen, it's go Bills. And, Bills Mafia is very strong all over the place. I'll tell you, just this morning on the way in here, I stopped to get a cup of coffee. And, I walk in and all of a sudden the guy yells from behind the counter, "Go Bills!" And it's kind of because you don't see that around here, being in Long Island, you don't see that. But now, it's become sort of infectious because I think people now see, hey, these guys are a good team. They're right there. They're on the cusp. And jokingly, it's really New York's team. If you go in a geographic stand, it is New York's team because it's the only team in the state of New York.
Yeah, so, biggest misconception in the world is that there's 3 teams in New York when in fact there's only 1.
Yeah, there really is only 1. The other 2 play in New Jersey, work in New Jersey. I mean, they just kept the name, but it's people are seeing it, and it's funny. Well, why are you wearing a Bills hat? Why? I'm like, well, listen, my brother's a coach there, and I follow the team, and I dress myself. I don't need you to ask me why I'm wearing it.
I didn't know I had to run by my attire by you.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not going to the prom today, but I can dress down and wear what I want to wear.
Yes, exactly right.
So, but all right. So now here's the fun part of the segment. Well, there's 2. Ready? So one is, okay, without putting you on the hook, what's your give me your favorite 2 places to get wings up there in Buffalo?
Oh man, Barbill is definitely probably the place I go the most. It's in East Aurora. I live in Orchard Park, but it's about a 5-minute ride over there, and that's honestly probably the spot that I go to. Kind of just there's a lot of good places here. You're not going to go wrong. You go to any dive bar, they're going to have some good wings. So I could probably sit there and name 15 or 20, but if I'm going to get carry out or even maybe just want to run down the road, I go to Barbill.
Got it. It's last time I was up, it was funny. The Uber driver said to me, "I know you're here to get wings," and I'm like, I better get on the phone because I know I'm going to get pitched about 25 different places that I should go. So I made a phone call just so I wouldn't. And I leave that up to Jimmy. If he says to me, "We're going here,"
Yeah.
No, because he knows food. I know we're going to a good place.
Oh yeah.
Don't have to worry about it. And
Jimmy definitely knows some good food.
yeah, he definitely, between him and Brendan Rowe, I think I have the city of Buffalo covered.
I'm sure you could walk in and sit down at any restaurant, they take care of you.
Yeah, no. And then okay, so here's the next fun part. Now I'm going to hand over the mic to you, and you can basically turn around and ask me anything that you think you want to know, may want to know. It's all on you.
Let me ask you this: what you've been around? Every time I'm around you, I feel like you've either been with somebody famous or somebody. You've been around a lot of, whether it's athletes or in New York City. Who's the most famous person that is in your phone? Who's the most famous person you know?
Wow, I've got a lot of numbers in my phone.
I know you do.
All the way from the commissioner down. I mean, it's kind of funny. There's a lot, man. Well, Michael Strahan, obviously, that's probably the most documented.
I'd say he's pretty famous.
Yeah, he's pretty famous, and I just went to his jersey retirement party on Saturday, and they retired his number on Sunday, and so
that's a cool deal. He does a great job, whether it's news, whether it's sports. He's entertaining yet informative. You get so many talking heads these days on these shows that some of them wear you out. And I don't know Michael, but he seems like a heck of a guy. I know people that knew him when he was playing at the Giants and know him since. So Hall of Famer in a lot of respects. He'll probably be a Hall of Fame broadcaster at some point if he wants to be. He's super talented.
I'll tell you a funny story that you obviously won't know, but I'm going to share it with you. After they won the Super Bowl in 2007, we took a trip. Me, him, and Justin Tuck. We went down to Florida, and we ran into Ralph Wilson, the old owner who passed away, obviously.
Yes.
And we were sitting there. We were at the I forget, in Palm Beach. We're at the Ritz-Carlton in Palm Beach.
Okay.
We were sitting there, and he came over and he sat down with us. And it was only Michael and I, and he came over and sat down, and he came over and said, "Hey, Michael, congratulations. I know I hear you're retiring, but we all started laughing because Mr. Wilson said, Michael, just remember one thing. I'm a good listener." Oh my God! We were laughing so hard because Michael's like, "Oh, please don't do this to me."
Don't even put me on the spot, right?
yeah. Like he was ready to. All right, Mr. Wilson, if you really mean it. But yeah, it was that was a memory that I'll never forget because that obviously I got to meet Mr. Wilson and him sitting down with us and having that chat was so funny. And like I said, it caught all of us off guard.
That's funny. I heard he was pretty witty. I mean, I've heard some really good stories. There's still some people here that worked for Mr. Wilson before the Pagulas bought it, and sounded like a really good man. And it's funny, a lot of the stories I've heard, he sounds similar to the first owner of the Carolina Panthers, Jerry Richardson, very old school. There was a really old school group of owners that owned some of these teams, and Mr. Wilson, Mr. Rooney in Pittsburgh, and obviously you got Mr. Mara in New York. So you're slowly seeing a lot of these old school guys out and kind of a newer school, which is good. It's brought a different energy level to the game, but there's a lot of respect for those people who really started and got this thing to be the product that it is today.
Well, listen, your name falls in line there, whether you like it or not, because I mean, you're building an incredible thing up there, and you're bringing success. And listen, you had that long playoff drought. You got through that, and now you went from ABC, and you got to finish the rest of the alphabet. And you guys are definitely heading in that direction, and it's great to watch. And like maybe I'm a little biased, but hey, it is what it is. I'm watching something build and develop into, you're building greatness. And believe it or not, you haven't. I know you have much more to go, and you want to do much more, but you're on your way. So I have to say kudos to you and to Sean and to the Pagulas and everybody up there. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody real soon.
Well, bring your ski hat and your warm sweatshirt, and yeah, big old school AFC East showdown Monday night. So we'll look forward to seeing you here, Big Daddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I want to say thank you for coming on, and it's an honor. And hey, look, you're my first GM.
I love it. I appreciate that. I got to be the first in something. So this was good. I appreciate you. I always enjoy hanging out, and love the food when you bring it. So I look forward to a slice of pizza or two when I see you.
Yeah, absolutely. The request between the pizza, the bagels, and the cannolis, I'll tell you, that plane ride up, man. That what do you call it? The above. I'm going to be taking up above a lot of those cubicle things up top.
Oh yeah. Well, you're like the Uber Eats for us here in Buffalo. Whenever we play the Jets or when you come our way.
Yeah, absolutely. So the tradition lives on. So for everyone else out there, thank you for joining us on Big Daddy and Friends, and make sure you keep an eye on Brandon Beane and those Bills. They're going to go far, and they're making things happen. So, Brandon, again, thanks, buddy, and I'll see you in a couple days. And to everyone else out there, be safe.
Thanks, Big Daddy.